Well, hello, everybody. How we doing tonight? We're live.
What's up?
What's up? There we go.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Another After the Cook with my man, Titletown Griller.
And my man, Dark Side of the Grill.
There we go. Boom. Fantastic. There we are. We're back on. Everything's fantastic. We were worried we were going to miss it today. I'm not going to lie to you. We had a live with Big Green Egg. Barbecue Buddha's book release went amazing, off the hook. So happy to be part of that.
Oh,
and here we are.
Yeah, such an awesome time. Hey, look, twinsies.
Well done, sir. Well done. I was like, oh, damn, I'm going to be on Big Green Egg's live feed. I can't do all my cans and stuff. And, you know.
Yeah, got to behave.
Yeah, got to behave all the time. Got to behave, which is, you know what, Chris, that's my life all the time.
Yep.
But, you know, this has been waiting.
Yes, sir.
You need to start smoking, sir. That's what you need to start.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, there they are. Grab them by the brisket. Fantastic group of guys there. Awesome. Everybody chiming in now. We've got Darren, D3. Thank you very much, Darren, for all your help, making sure this went off without a hitch. I was so happy you got that link on Facebook because I was like, I don't know, man. I've never sent him this on that before, so.
It was, but you didn't send it to me from your Facebook account. You sent it to me from your wife's Facebook account.
That's because I'm on the wife's laptop when I do this.
Ah, okay.
I'm not allowed a laptop, Chris.
Well, browser histories and whatnot.
I'm not allowed that kind of responsibility. If Mel had a laptop, it would not work because it would have some kind of virus or something.
Just from, you know, all those documentaries and educational videos that you watch. That's
correct. I like to know how things work.
Yeah.
And I need to get to the bottom of everything. So it is what it is. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. There you go. This is neat. This is really neat. It's working. It's working. I'm having a good time here.
Nice. Oh, yeah, this does feel like it did about a year ago when we started doing these things and just sitting outside on a Tuesday night.
Yeah. I know it.
Some sandhill cranes flying overhead.
There you go. Well, you got a lot more dark than I do. This is yeah, we got full sun still. Full sun. We got we got daytime for another hour and a half for sure.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock here. It's dark.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I'm in my shorts outside. It was snowing last week at this time, so. Yep. Oh.
Yeah, I got shorts on too. It's actually really nice in Wisconsin right now, so I'm gonna enjoy it while I can. It's gonna be raining for the next month. So when I can be out here, I sure as hell I'm gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So how are the cases doing down there?
You know, we had it under pretty good control today. We had a bump up, so it'll be interesting to kind of see what the trend is going to be now. But there's a lot of vaccinations out there right now, especially in our couple of counties or little area of Wisconsin. There's a lot of people are getting their vaccines, so things are starting to open back up, and people are starting to get a little bit more optimistic. So
nice.
There's reason for that optimism. So hopefully we can get there and get through this and move forward.
We got a real question from Mr. Homeowner. Briquettes or lump? My brother, I burn nothing but lump. I do not use briquettes at all. I love the true natural wood. The Big Green Egg Brazilian, huge chunks of actual logs. I'm so blown away. We also get the Canadian maple up here. That is another amazing batch of Big Green Egg. If you can get the Big Green Egg sugar maple, boom, amazing. I like the finish on it. My tester for charcoal, anytime you're testing your charcoal for the first time, cook nachos, cook pizza, cook something with bread or something gentle where you can actually taste the finish of your charcoal to see what it's doing. And also let it get lit, right? don't be throwing your stuff in there while it's still cold and you can hear it cracking and starting to light. Wait until it's lit. You've got a bit of a cold bed before you put your food in there. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's all lump. I've had companies reach out, do you have an interest in promoting these briquettes from this charcoal company? I'm like, no. I mean, stuff that I do on my feed or my cooking is stuff that I want to, how I do it, and it's got to be legit. And to me, the briquettes don't compare to the flavor you get from the lump. It's a real hardwood lump charcoal. You don't even really need to add wood chunks. You get enough wood flavor from a lot of the, just the charcoal itself. But there's not a lot of those extra additives that you can get from the compressed briquettes. Especially the speed light stuff. But it's just, to me, it's a very, very clean smoke. And I like that you can reuse it. Like you just top it off with a little bit of fresh lump and then you're good to go.
Yeah, see, so that's another question I get all the time. Where do I get my wood? So if you're using chunks, and I strongly suggest with the Big Green Egg using natural wood chunks, they sell their own chunks, right? You can usually go to your local barbecue shop and see what they're providing for chunks. Up here in Canada, we have the Furtado wood. The guy runs a farm. I have partied with him. He's an amazing guy. Amazing wood. In the States, there's a million more options, but they're all very well taken care of options. Source your wood. Make sure your wood is of high quality. And go with the chunks. Mix the chunks up with your charcoal. That's my advice. It's my go-to. The chips are good for like 15, 20 minutes, right? That's a quick, full flavor taste. Sure, no problem. But you're doing a brisket, you need chunks. It is what it is. What's your opinion on that? Are you in that same too or what?
Probably 95% of what I use is going to be chunks. It's just going to give you longer smoke. With chunks, you can even put them on there. Let that blue, let that white smoke go away. Wait for the blue smoke too, and you still get the smoke flavor. I'll take a handful of chips sometimes if I'm doing something that I want to do quickly, like wing. Just throw a handful of the chips on there too, just to give it that initial quick little smoking.
That's what I'll do if I got a high-end Wagyu steak that's going down. I'll lift the grate up, just toss a quick handful of chips in there, just to give it that kiss. But that's all it's good for. What happened?
Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here.
Can you hear me?
You went funny for a minute, and then you're good again. So, yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh, that's all you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes, you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Well, I can just talk about random shit, and I'll have no idea what you're saying back. Yeah. That's lovely.
Mm-hmm. You need to get an Android. Android.
What do we have going on here?
No iPhone. Elvis, what are you mad about? Yes. BGE, Brazilian, eucalyptus tree, harvested, environmentally friendly, 100%. 100%.
I can hear us both. This is lovely.
I can hear. Just beautiful. Can you not hear me? Why don't you get a grown-up phone? An Android. He left. How does that make you feel, Elvis? He left us. He left us. There he is. And he's back. There you go.
Whatever that was, it was a reset, so we're good to go.
That's okay. You need to get a grown-up phone. It's called an Android.
This Apple phone stuff you're saying?
Yeah. Elvis, come here. He's mad because he lost a stick under the picnic table, and now he's throwing a. Come here. Come here, big man. Come here, big man. Oh, jeez. Hold on.
Okay, so this is actually a great conversation to jump into, the adding smoke and when to add smoke and when not to add smoke and all of that. I will tell you, when I started getting my egg, my wife hated anything with extra smoke on it. And part of the issue is especially when I was starting out, is I would put food on the grill too early. And that's going to give you that really, really harsh smoke, that harsh flavor that's going to turn off from other things. So that's when we talked about having the white smoke coming out of the egg, where it's just that initial smoke that's just billowing out of there. That's going to be harsh smoke. To blue smoke, where you might not even see that there's smoke coming out of the smokestack, but your food's still going to pick up that smoky flavor.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of, even though I use a tiger torch, so I use a flamethrower to start my charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
I will have a good coal bed in like 5 minutes. I am still a firm believer, if I'm putting wood chunks in there, I'm going to give them like 10 minutes to calm down.
Right.
And I'm going to try and space them so that they're outside of the blast range. Blast range meaning like the eye of the storm, where it's deep red. I'm not putting wood chunks in there because they're just going to burn off right now. Give me white taste like sour smoke. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for the nice, clean blue smoke, like you were explaining. So I'll put them outside of that bullseye. And as it grows, it hits them one by one and gently smokes through the cook. And I think the psychology behind that would be that the airflow is coming through the bottom vent, around your proteins, and then up the vent. And when it hits that, it becomes part of that airflow, instead of just being dead airspace, which is pounding that with smoke. You don't want that. You want the airflow to move while carrying the smoke around your protein. That's how I see it. And for me, it's been, and I say this to everybody, I can start cooking in 15 minutes, firing this thing up, like gates of hell are open, coal bed, throw a few wood chunks on there, 10 minutes, food's on. It works, and it's definitely jumping the gun. If I was using paper towels with olive oil or something, keep banking around 45 minutes. That would be when my coals are red enough, and I can add my wood chunks, and then add my proteins, and go. It's all the same. It's whatever you have time for and how quickly you want to get going. But the cleanest smoke that I've found is with a decent red coal bed, and then adding those chunks outside of the coal bed.
Right. So I do something very similar. What I might do is, I know there's some people asking about how many chunks of smoke what do you add on it. Again, it does depend on how long you're cooking for. If you're doing a slow cook, your whole charcoal bed isn't going to be red hot right away. You might light it in the front, or it's going to be a little bit slower. But what I'll do is then I'll mix in some chunks of wood throughout the charcoal, so as the charcoal burns, that those wood chunks get put back in it too. Another thing that I do, kind of like what Mel was explaining, say I'm just doing a spatchcock chicken, which I'm going to cook a little bit hotter and cook a little bit quicker, 45 minutes to an hour. I will put usually three to four chunks of wood, depending on how big they are. I'll put 2 chunks of wood on the outside, like Mel's talking about, and I might do 1 chunk of wood in the middle that I know is going to burn up a little bit quicker. But I do that about 5 minutes before I'm going to put the meat on. You want that all to settle before you just fire all that meat on there and, expose it to that harsher smoke.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep. Or you could do like the stick burner and just keep shoveling those logs in as quick as it'll eat it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like the barbecue that comes off of that big old stick burner, man, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. It rings. Every brisket, deep, heavy rings. The pork, it's all. But man, you gotta feed it, and that's where I have a huge appreciation for these guys. Right?
Uh-huh.
I can cook a brisket on like a shovel full of charcoal, no problem. I'll cook a whole brisket with pork butts, have charcoal left to spare.
Right.
That charcoal wouldn't be enough to light the fire in the thing to get it warmed up. And that's the truth right there. Like that's yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different beast. But I love how efficient, and this goes back to my 2XL with the whole hog cook, right? I dumped a whole bag of charcoal in my 2XL to cook that whole hog, thinking that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
When I pulled that whole hog off and it was done, everything was fantastic. I had a bullseye of charcoal. I still had the entire outer perimeter that was good charcoal. So I mixed it up. I cooked a couple of briskets. Then I cooked a couple of pork butts. I got 3 cooks out of that 2XL on one bag of charcoal. It was crazy. Like
Right.
you can't beat that efficiency.
No, and it's crazy because the 2XL literally holds a whole entire 20-pound bag of charcoal. So you instinctively think, okay, I have to load it up.
Yeah.
And, I think part of the reason why that one's so efficient is because it's big enough where all the charcoal doesn't get lit at once. Where, like a large, because large works great. And I think with a large, you get the most out of the Kamado style cooker because it's a little bit more elongated. You're a little bit farther away from the fire ring than you are on the other ones, but your whole entire firebox is going to be lit almost every time.
Yeah.
Where on the 2XL or even the XL, you can light part of it, and a good chunk of your charcoal isn't getting lit.
Yeah. No, and you're exactly right. So my large was my first egg, and I love her still to this day. Pizzas, nachos, for sure. But you cannot argue the XL with that extra inches of grill space.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to move things around and do different cooks, like it just makes sense. The XL to me, and that's everybody that asks me now, they're like, what's the beginner egg for me? I'm not trying to upsell you. I'm trying to tell you that, like, as you grow, the XL will fit. And that's the best way to put it is after you're done searing off those steaks, you're going to want to do something else. And when you want to do something else, the XL will make sense.
And with the addition of the expander system and the half moons, and where you can really develop that 2-zone cooking, where you literally have a half that's indirect with your half that's direct. Yes, you can do that on a large, but I don't think it's quite as true of a 2-zone cook as it is with the XL, and that's one of the big things that's I think is a big game changer.
Yeah. So there we go. Robert Anson asked, right? He said he's only ever done gas. He thought charcoal was worse the whole time. Man, you have no idea how many people have come up with that reasoning. They're like, we're so far past charcoal. We're into gas now. Like, why don't you step into the 1990s? Well, people have gotten wise to the flavor of their food, and especially with COVID and the pandemic and all of this, people have all turned into serious foodies. And they are now, like, people are all woke to what you are serving on your dinner table and upping your own game, making sure your family is eating at another level. It is so neat to see a ton of professional chefs, serious professional people that cook every day, all day for big banquets or whatever. When they come home, they've got a big green egg in the backyard. And that puts a huge smile on my face and like a breath of relief for me. It is the ultimate arsenal in like the flavor profiles of cooking. And I'm not trying to rub anything the wrong way, whatever, but a colleague at work who has had natural gas. He's got a huge, I think it's a Napoleon, like he's set right up. He's rigged up really well on his deck, and he's a barbecuer. He bought a little Kamado style grill just because he couldn't stand me talking about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
2 cooks on that thing, he's going to buy a big green egg. And he's like, I'm totally sold. The ham that he made for Easter, he's like, I haven't had a ham that good since like my great grandfather. And that's like from memory. I don't even know if it was that good.
Right. And again, Mel and I both cook on Big Green Eggs. We're on BG Team Green. That's how we met. So that's one of the things that we have in common. Neither of us really give a shit what you grill on.
No.
We're not going to sit up here and say, okay, you have to have a Kamado style grill. You have to have a Big Green Egg, because that's just not true. There's a lot of cookers out there that you can do stuff on. There's a lot of, other brands, companies. And, yes, I'd love to tell you, cook on an egg. But really, we just want to see you guys grill. There is other options out there. I think somebody on here even mentioned one, the Acorn Grill. It's going to be very, very similar to a Big Green Egg. Same, general idea of the Kamado style grill. It's going to be a little less efficient because it's going to have metal. I don't think it's aluminum, but I think it's metal sides to it versus the double wall ceramic. The double wall ceramic is going to be more efficient. Charcoal will last longer. It's going to lock in moisture better, and it's going to get a little bit hotter. But these other companies, they're great, especially if you want to start out and you don't know if you're going to like it. Don't be afraid to, try some of their, you can try some of the less expensive grills before making that big leap too.
This is something that I don't preach about, but if it's going to get your foot in the door in the game of charcoal, buy whatever's sitting in front of you. If it feels good, if you like it, try it out. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, it's not the quality you wanted. You're going to step up to the Big Green Egg anyway. And that's I've seen so many people in that realm. It is what it is. I'm not selling Big Green Eggs. I don't get a commission. I don't care. I don't care if you're on a Big Green Egg or not. I just happen to know that this is where my heart lies, and this is where I'm settled. They are fantastic for me. I know that well before I knew anybody on BG, Team Green, or anything, that was my standard. That was where I needed to hit. I was so happy to get in with my very first large, and I bought it used. Like, don't even get me wrong. Like, I'm pinching pennies over here too. I bought it used. It is what it is. I just want you to cook better for your family. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of this thing. Everybody needs to up their game just a little bit. If you got the time, you got the patience, you got the know-how, this is the whole point of this thing. This is why you're watching our feed right now, is because you are curious about making your food better. Mm-hmm. And whatever steps you have to take to do that, so be it. Whether it be an Acorn or a KJ or whatever, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Try it. If you're on a Napoleon, right, that you paid $5,000 for, whatever, buy a little Weber kettle. Throw a handful of charcoal in there and cook a steak on there. See what happens. You never know. For me, in my experience, it's a game changer. And all of a sudden, that old gas grill becomes a warming station. And then it becomes obsolete. It is what it is.
Yeah.
For me.
It really is too. I mean, like the surgeon that I work with, he had this, I mean, he still has it. It's this beautiful built-in natural gas grill. And, I was doing some meal prep stuff. I brought in, it was just real simple. It was a chicken breast that I smoked. I literally only put salt and pepper on it. I put some slices and I gave him a couple of slices and he just saw, he's like, there's skin on it. I'm like, no, it's just the smoke. He took a bite of it and he goes, this is 1,000 times better than anything. So would you brine it in? Would you do this? I'm like, salt, pepper, smoke. That was it. And he said from that point on, he's like, all right, I'm sold. So now he has an extra large Big Green Egg in his backyard. And I think he maybe cooks on his gas grill once every other month. But I mean, because it's just, you can't beat the flavor. And for the people out there that think the convenience of having a gas grill where you can just go out and turn it on, yes, you can turn on one of those pretty quick, but really it's going to take maybe 5 minutes longer to warm up an egg than it will a gas grill. You can really get that going just as quick, and the flavors they don't compare.
Don't make me pull her out. I can get her going at the same time, just like that.
So Mel. So this is another good thing to chat about. The lighting of the grill. Mel lights his with his, big beautiful, flame throwing MAF torch. I use little lighter squares. 2 of them. I stick them in there, and I leave the top wide open. Open up the bottom vent, and go in and finish cutting up vegetables. 15 minutes later, I'm good to go. If I am in a crunch for time, I do have this little fan called a barbecue dragon, which clips on the side of my table and blows the air into the egg, and I have huge flames within 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, there's always ways that you can accelerate it. And no, please do not ever use lighter fluid inside of a ceramic grill.
No. Don't ever use lighter fluid in anything that you're cooking for your family. Just don't do it. There's no reason to. That's the thing. There's no reason to. It's even if I was to cook on a campsite, 18-wheeler rim, right, at a city park, I wouldn't use lighter fluid to do it. Don't ever do that. Don't ever subject your family to that. Stop it. Just stop doing that.
So there was a question from Robert Hansen asking for steak. What would the difference in cooking time be? What difference between what? If you wanted to clarify that question, I'd be more than happy to answer that one. If it's just looking at charcoal versus steak, I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on what cut of steak you're cooking, how thick the steak is, and everything else. And there's different ways to cook different steaks, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, there's 5 different ways to cook a New York strip.
That's it. And it, like you said, it all depends on what cut of beef it is, the thickness of the beef, what's the temperature of the beef before it hits the grill. There's all kinds of like crazy things that you don't even plan into your cook to make it different. There's no rule of thumb really for cooking meat. It's all on temperature, appearance, and feel. Yet you have to get to know your grill. You have to get to know the meat you're putting it on. It's all part of the game. For me, like a 1/2-inch thick grilling steak, it's already done. That's if my coal bed is fired up and she's going on top, she's already getting flipped over and she's already going on the plate. She's already resting. Like it's done. You got a 2 loony thick steak. Well, you're going to treat that a bit like a roast. You're going to slow sear it. You're going to do your. It is what it is. It all depends on what you're cooking, the temperature you're cooking it, what you're looking for. Everybody's different. Yeah, it's a tough question to answer. It's a tough question to answer.
Right. So you like rare on gas, kind of like rare on charcoal too. It's going to take about the same temp. Now, again, you said you like ribeyes. When I cook ribeyes, it's usually a nice big Snake River Farms cowboy ribeye or tomahawk ribeye. I'm reverse searing those all the way. Ribeyes are one that I think, should be a thicker cut. So I will cook it indirect at about 250 till it reaches 123-ish. Pull it off, let it rest for 10 minutes as my grill comes up to 500, 600, 700 degrees. Quick sear on each side till 125. Pull it, rest it, slice it.
Yep, 100%. 100%. That's the Egg Genius. Yes, I've used it. I love it. It's cheating a bit, but I do. I love the Egg Genius. I am not a huge fan of technology. I'm trying to make things as easy as I can back here because I have too many things coming at me already as it is. When you're trying to dial in your Egg Genius to do your cook, I have to add in the tripod, I have to add in the cameras, I have to add in what I'm doing for video or audio or whatever. It gets to be too much. I literally enjoy cooking, and I am trying to keep that aspect going. The Egg Genius, if you have a Kamado cooker with the Egg Genius, you can sleep at night cooking a brisket, and that's enough. That's all you have to say right there. If you can sleep at night cooking a brisket, it's worth its weight in gold. It's
This is the Dragon I was talking about. Someone asked about it. Fan to introduce air. So this clips onto my side table. This goes on it. It's literally probably like a laptop fan. But it gets going, blows air out there constantly for that little bit of time, and it makes a huge difference and gets things going quickly. Yeah, and I kind of echo your sentiment on the Egg Genius Flame Bosses. It's great technology. It's cool to know that it's going to hold the temps. My favorite thing about using an Egg Genius or a Flame Boss is the graph that you get with the meat. Just because I'm a nerd and I like seeing that, but what you'll be able to get on these is you'll get a graph of, okay, this is how the fan runs, which you'll see it's going to run pretty much not at all. Every once in a while it'll bump up, and then it'll just kind of hold that steady state. But then you see this is what the temp of the grill is, or the grate, to be pretty steady, and then you'll get bumps down from when you open it up. And then this is the temp of the meat, what the meat does. And it's really cool to see that on a brisket, especially where, it's almost like clockwork. It'll get to 160, 162, and it'll stay there for 4 or 5 hours. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, you're watching that and you're like, oh no, it's getting way too hot, way too quickly. It shouldn't be at 160 after 2 hours. And then it's still at 160 6 hours later. It's just really cool to see that on a graph. You can really kind of appreciate the science behind that a little bit too. So that's one thing that I really like about the Egg Genius.
Yeah, I love it. So a bunch of people have been asking me what I'm smoking. This is a Maduro, an Arista Maduro. Fantastic. Tastes fantastic. If you were to buy the smaller Big Green Egg, cooking with that smaller Big Green Egg, it's a bit different than the XL, but it's all the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the big thing is the firebox and understanding that your charcoal will all burn up in one cook. That is part of the beast, right? My Mini Max, man, I this is a big thing. Check my feed, everybody. Check my feed. I have cooked just about everything you can think of on that Mini Max. It's fantastic, and it's for the size. It's a bit of a charcoal hog because when you light it. That's it. It burns it out. But if you're cooking on it all weekend or for a week, it does get to be super efficient. And I love that. I love that aspect of it. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of all the different sizes of eggs. My preference is the XL just because the different levels, the different gradient, you can cook anything. It's crazy.
Right. And, I think there's a place for each side egg. I have a large, but my father-in-law is babysitting that. But I have the XL and the Mini Max. I think that's a great combination of the sizes of grills and the functions that you can get on those. And you're right. If you look at the Mini Max as far as percentage of charcoal used, every time you light it up, the Mini Max is going to be the highest. I mean, it's going to go through a much higher percent of the charcoal you put in there every time you use it, but it's going to take a fraction of the charcoal. It's going to use a fraction of the charcoal when you just compare the amount of charcoal used to your XL. And I think to your point, that's what you mean. If you cook on it every day for a week, you're still only going to go through a half a bag or 3/4 of a 20-pound bag of charcoal.
Yeah. No, that's I cannot stress enough how economically friendly these eggs are. Cooking on the stick burner.
Oh,
Cooking on the stick burner, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of work I shovel into that thing to cook a brisket. A 14-hour day cooking a brisket, you do like a quarter cord of wood. Like, it's nuts. And I think to myself, 2 literal scoopfuls of charcoal would cook a brisket and probably a couple of pork butts in a big green egg. And that's not enough to even get it to temperature for 20 minutes.
right.
Like, it's a different beast. And also, I have different weather and stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. You know, obviously, with your stick burner, you have to worry a lot more about the ambient temp, you know, when it's that size, than you do with a ceramic Kamado style grill. The ambient temp doesn't matter.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
Elvis again.
Elvis.
You know, the ambient temp doesn't matter as much when you're cooking on an egg because it's much more insulated. That's why, you know, I'm in Green Bay, Wisconsin during winters. I'm out here cooking, you know, all winter long. Mel up in Alberta, Canada, he's able to cook all winter long in the negative 30, whatever, 35 degrees Celsius. No problem because of how efficient the ceramic makes everything on the inside. You know, you don't have to worry about the ambient temps, where with Mel's new stick burner, you know, he hasn't had to do it yet because he hasn't had those temps yet. But when he's out there trying to light that thing and cook that thing for, you know, 12 hours at negative 35 degrees, that's going to make a big difference. Yeah, and also to what Big Hobby's saying is the size is also a factor as far as, you know, the amount of space that the air has to flow to. You know, offset smokers, you're cooking with air, and if that has to travel 12 feet down a whole entire tube, it's going to be cooler just from, you know, the loss of the heat through the conduction and everything else. So there's a lot of different things that go into the efficiency and effectiveness of the different cookers, which Mel is going to be a pro at. By the time next year, he'll have all that down between the different cooking. And yeah, we were just talking a little bit about ambient temperature and how when you use an egg, it doesn't matter as much as it does when you're using your, you know, big smoker. And, you know, like Big Hobby says, the length and the size of it also has an effect on the its ability to hold temp quicker.
So my best relation to an egg is when I first started, I had like a Cabela's Bass Pro, like a 5-in-1 cooker, and it was just like a tin can that you put charcoal in the bottom, then you threw chips on, and then you had a couple of grates that you could smoke brisket or whatever. Minus 30 Celsius. I don't know what that relates to for you guys in Fahrenheit, but minus 30 Celsius. You're trying to cook a brisket on that, and like the wind changes, your temperature drops 150 degrees like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the game when you're trying to cook big proteins on something with zero insulation. It is what it is. That this is part of the nature of the beast. You have to understand your surroundings, your weather, your elevation, your everything. And I that's how I learned to cook. That's how I learned to barbecue. And some seasons were worse than others, and some wind storms, whatever. I built a wooden box that I set over top of like my Weber kettle so that I could cook ribs in minus temperatures. It's crazy. Now with this, right? Any one of these, it doesn't matter. It's minus 40. My problem is that I have to open it. It's frozen shut.
Mm-hmm.
I have to thaw it enough that I can open it, that I can cook a brisket on it. But after you get it to temp, doesn't matter. It's a magical thing. And that's something I stress like big time up here. Even if you have a gas grill, your gas is at max. If you're trying to cook a brisket on a gas grill in minus temperatures, forget about it. Like, forget about it. You're blowing the bank now on your gas budget. Whereas literally this thing, once you get it up to temp, it's a handful of brisket or a handful of charcoal and a few wood chunks. And it doesn't care. It doesn't discriminate what the wind is doing, what the temperature outside is doing. Once it's temp, it's a solid unit. And that's the mind-blowing part for me. It's so cool. And I often forget how efficient Kamado cookers are. That is why Kamado cookers are so popular. That is why, like, way back in Japan, like, this is a big thing. It's a really neat thing, and this is why it caught on.
Yeah, I mean, right on. I think that's, you just hit it right on the head there as far as, you know, one of the benefits of a Kamado style cooker versus, you know, other style cookers. You know, not just that, you know, you could get into the versatility of it too. But I think as far as, you know, someone who's starting out and, you know, your novice cooker, they're just going to enjoy that aspect of it. I mean, you know, we could go on and tell you about all the different things that this can do and what you could cook on. But, I mean, truth be told, you can cook almost anything on any grill. This is just going to be better and more efficient. Somebody asked us, too, up there, what temp we use when we cook. If we use the dome temp or an ambient thermometer on the grill grid. You want to tackle that first?
For me, I use what it looks like. I don't even care what the dome temp is, like a general rule, but when I open it and I see what it's doing, it's mostly by eye, to be honest. And then I have my precision temp probe where I'm temping the actual pieces of meat.
Mm-hmm.
I trust that way more than the dome thermometer at all.
Yeah, same. You know, and that just came with time. I would say at first I was probably more obsessed with the dome temp and thinking everything has to be okay. It's got to be at exactly 400. It can't be up. It can't be down. Really, you know, I'm the same exact way. I use my dome temp as okay. That's going to be a general, probably plus or minus 50. You know, you can also just tell by holding your hand and how much you can hold your hand over it. Will kind of give you a general idea of how hot it is. What I would say for you is, you know, someone who's asking which temp they should use is just be consistent. You know, make sure that you're using the same temp and just going off of that. Really, yes, there is going to be about a 15 to 20 degree difference between the dome and the grate. That's not going to make or break a cook.
No.
You know, 15 to 20 degrees is not going to make or break a cook as long as it's consistent and you're consistent with what temp you use. You'll be fine.
I'm going to say just right now, Elvis doesn't like you.
I guess not.
It's not his fault. He just something about you. He's yelling at his wagon right now, and it's not. I don't know. It's my fault. I'm a bohemian parent. I've just let him kind of make his own decisions as he's grown up, and now I have to deal with this kind of stuff. But
usually he's humping something when I'm talking.
Well, no, he's not right now. He's just standing in front of what he humps, and he's yelling at it.
Oh boy.
So what do you do with that? Like, I wish I could flip this over to show you. He's actually just yelling at his wagon right now.
Mean old
which
wagon.
Is, yeah. Hey. I just tried to hit him with a beer can. It's true. Yeah. It didn't do anything, but he's quiet for a second. We'll see where that. At least we're outside, hey? This is a big deal. We're out of the basement. That's a nice time. Oh, I'm going to choke you. Get out.
Yeah, it is. It does feel nice to be back outside here. Yeah, it's making me think of warmer times, making me think that hopefully we're getting that white stuff here in Wisconsin and stuff continues to green up.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we're outside doing this. So awesome.
You know what? I would also say too that I'm kind of liking this this episode too, where we're kind of kicking it back to the old school and just talking instead of having to come in with a an agenda.
Yes, I like that. And be honest, I have Instagram running in the background here, and I haven't even checked it. And there's like all kinds of strange things that I don't even want to read, kind of. But it's nice. It's a good time.
We'll have to have you guys let us know what you think. But I think it'd be nice to maybe we'll mix in a few of these where we don't have guests and we just kind of chat.
Yep.
Kick it back. Yeah. It's starting back to our roots, if you will, Mel.
I would love to have once a month we do like an Instagram of this.
Oh, yeah.
If we can figure out how to get the audio from it, right? We have to talk to our man Ryan from Eat More Barbecue. He's fantastic. If we can put that together, that'd be beautiful. It's across the bow of everything. I would love that. I would love that.
And for those of you who might be new to the show, there's a lot of people out there that are friends of the show. But yeah, for those of you that are new and don't know, you can find these recorded on podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, search for After the Cook Podcast. You'll find us. Also on Amazon. Subscribe it, rate us, give us them 5 stars, and let's go.
I see that Rage and Pillage is on here. So that guy, he's a sweetheart. He is a sweetheart. I hope to be on that podcast sometime soon. They just had Chuck. They just had Chuck on their podcast. And I was like, that mother, he ghosted us. He totally ghosted us. It broke my heart a little bit. And Chuck, I messaged him. He's like, I didn't know you wanted me on your podcast. What are you talking about? He didn't even see the messages.
Oh.
Because this is part of Instagram. And you know what, man? Like, it is what it is. If you're messaging me and you got a problem with this or that or whatever, there's a 92% chance I just didn't see it, and then it got buried, and then I, moved on to something else. And I'm not trying to be a dick. It just happens that way. And I try not to. I try to be on the ball as best I can, but it is what it is. I hope to have Chuck on here one day, because Chuck and I, with you, is going to be an amazing thing. I love that guy.
Yeah,
I want to cuddle up to him.
I want to cuddle up to him.
Sure. And Javi's on here somewhere. He might have left already, but he's another one. One day I will be in Texas, and I will roll up on him, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the day that I just sit in his backyard and get blackout.
And make him build something for you right there too.
Oh, it's going to be a good time, man.
Well, I should say make him build something for you. You guys can build something.
That's it. Oh, and that's the thing. That's the thing that people forget about this. We are real people that are in this for our own reasons, whatever. We make these weird bonds with people. And like me and Buddha, right? Me and Buddha did the pilgrimage out to Campbell's house in a rental car. And that could have been dead airspace, but it wasn't. We talked our asses off, and we talked about the weirdest, most obscure stuff. And we both just jived the whole way. That is a foundation that will be there forever.
Mm-hmm.
We could cook in Japan 2 years from now on some bank somewhere and be on that exact same level. It's crazy. And I have such an appreciation for that kind of camaraderie.
The connection. The relationships. The camaraderie is a great word for it. Yeah, and it's weird. It's something that it's hard to explain unless you experience it.
That's it. The passion. Everybody's heart's in the same place. Everyone's moving forward at an even keel. Everything just kind of goes together. And that's the amazing thing. The group that I came up with on Instagram, such a supportive positive group of people,
Uh-huh.
and I have the utmost admiration for everybody that succeeds in my group. You know what I mean? And that's a huge thing for anybody, is to put the envy stick down and just appreciate somebody's game.
Right. You know,
I
and step away from the competition aspect of stuff, and you know, you just kind of build off each other, learn from each other, and get better from each other, which is really cool.
Heck yeah, my man. Heck yeah. So this was nice. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
That beer can that I threw at Elvis is now becoming dinner.
Oh, that's what he's doing?
Yeah, he's chewing on it. He's such a jerk.
I'm gonna cut up my gums and then bleed all over. Yep.
Just out of spite. Just out of spite.
Piss you
chew
off.
up this can now. That's
That's perfect.
Yep. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh. Love it, man. Well, so is this it? We're wrapping up or what?
You got any big cooks coming up this weekend?
I don't know, man. Would it turn you on if I said I was cooking brisket and pork butt and quarter chickens and more sausages? Because that's what I do every fucking weekend.
I didn't know if you were going to take a break from it or if you were just going to keep her rolling.
I wish I could take a break from it, but I also need to just know that I'm in the zone, right? So that's why I haven't been posted much of it. I've got epic videos of all of that, and I'm like, I think people are done seeing it now. That's like I'm literally cooking for armies every Saturday. Like, it's crazy. But I did a beef dip. On Saturday.
Nice.
Got to revisit that bad boy, and let me tell you, even my camera guy, he came by because he's been locked up in all kinds of other crazy stuff. So I haven't got to party with him for quite a while.
Okay.
And he was here, and I'm like, let me make you a sandwich while we're recording. And he dipped it, put it in his mouth, stared at me, and said 3 bad words in a row. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. He's like, I had no idea it would be this good. I'm like, well, you saw the videos. You think I'm just acting? He's like, I always think you're acting. He's like, it's actually really good. I'm like, of course it is. That's why I keep stressing how good this video is, because it's actually, man. So here is your top round, bottom round, whatever. Garlic, pepper, salt. Heavy crust with a bit of Worcestershire. If you sprinkle Worcestershire on it first, smoke it. Hickory, heavy hickory, right? Mesquite, something that's going to stick to it. Smoke it heavy, but cook it medium rare. Pull it off, let it rest, and gently slice it. Throw that on a ciabatta bun or something like that, some kind of hard bread in the au jus with the sauteed onions and peppers.
So when you say let it rest,
yes.
Are you letting it rest for 10 minutes or are you letting it rest overnight?
No, I'll let it rest maybe a half hour.
Okay.
Maybe a half hour. But when it's like blue rare still, and you're cutting it, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for still a nice, bloody rare, but smoked, spicy outside because you used way too much pepper.
Yep.
And then you put the mozzarella cheese on the bread, right? Throw it in the smoker for 5 minutes before you serve it on the bread. Dump that whole sandwich in the au jus. It's unstoppable, man. It's unstoppable. You need to do it. Everybody needs to do it. You have to do it. It's going to change the way you do sandwiches forever.
Yeah, I do it, the same way too. And what I'll do is sometimes I won't even cut it that day. I'll wrap it up and put it in the fridge and do it the next day.
And you definitely can. Yep.
Right. And then I get it really, then if I do it that way, I don't even slice it by hand. It goes on my meat slicer, right, to, the very, very thin, just a few millimeters thick. But we're still, just like you said, kind of that blue rare, shaving it. I may take it and quickly throw it on a skillet or, just to give it a little bit of heat. melt that cheese, put all the vegetables on it. And, one way that I've done some of these sandwiches, and it's really good, but they're not going to be the sexiest looking, is you take your sandwich, you make it up, it's going to be on bread that's like this thick.
Yep.
You put it in tin foil and you wrap it as tight as you can. That sandwich that's this big is going to be in tin foil like this. It's going to be super tight, super small. I'll even put some of that au jus in there with it. Wrap it up in that tin foil and then put it back on the egg indirect for 10, 15 minutes. When you eat it, it's going to be like, it's going to taste different. I mean, again, it's not going to be the sexiest looking because it's going to be all kind of like shriveled and small, but it's going to be so much full of flavor. Everything's going to be melted together, and it's going to be really good.
I have to make a confession here. I had a donair the other day that was done like a Cuban.
Really?
It was a donair made just like a donair is, but smaller, and then pressed and like heat treated in the press. I didn't even post about it because I don't want people doing it until I can come up with like a press for the big green egg. It was crazy, man. It was crazy how good it was. Crispy outside, the cheese and the onions almost were sautéed inside of it. It was just the tzatziki and the tzatziki and the garlic sauce. Everything inside of it was just so
right. And then as that sauce heats it, it's going to steam it from the inside out, giving it that extra, just everything just melts.
Yes.
Together. Oh
man, a Cuban donair. It was. I did the Dirty Donnie too. I did the Dirty Donnie in a Cuban press, and it was like off the hook. It was nuts, and I need to recreate it right now, so that I can get it up on the internet and people can see it, because it's just. What do you do? 2 cast iron skillets, heat them up.
You can do 2 cast iron skillets. You can do a cast iron skillet and a burger press.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure you heat the burger press up, either in the coals or on the grate first to get it nice and hot, and then put it on top. That would work.
Yeah. Yeah, it was... Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Oh, buddy. Oh. Yeah. So there's that. That's my life. I'm caught all the time in these crosshairs of amazing things. Someone had sent me a couple of times now. Someone is doing an El Pastor with octopus, with like a black, heavy Asian sauce, and they cut it up and throw it into tacos. And they're like, well, how come you're not doing it? I said, well, that's a lot of octopus to source out here in the prairies, first of all. that's a tough gig right there, right? You're talking about like $100 stack of octopus. But someone in California is doing this. And they're doing El Pastor, like blackened octopus into tacos. And it's like...
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's cool to think of that and to do things that style. There's some things that I like to eat a certain way, and I don't like to get creative with it.
Yeah.
There's some things that I just know that I like to eat it this way. This is how, like scallops. Scallops are one of those things where I'm going to sear scallops, and I'm going to sear it with butter, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, I make it creative of how I serve it, or what I serve it with, but I'm going to cook scallops that one way because, to me, that's one of my top favorite foods is, just a nice seared scallop. There's some things that I don't necessarily need to mess with, nor do I want to mess with them.
No, I agree with that, man. I agree with that. This was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm so happy with tonight. This was like heartwarming a little bit.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
We're going to make it happen like this again more often, I think.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. And you know what? We're back in summer weather. So,
yes.
Yep.
Maybe that's part of it too. That makes us happier just being outside and being able to, I don't know, not be in the basement.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Right
I
on.
want you people, whoever's watching, send us some anecdotes, messages. Let us know what you want from this. Give us ideas, whatever. If you want to come on, hit us up. Let us know. Maybe you'll be our next guest. We don't know. Fantastic. Let's do that. Let's get interactive. And keep in mind, this is now available on Podbean and Apple Podcasts.
Yep. Amazon Podcast.
We're doing things. We're doing things, people.
Podcast.
That's it.
But yeah, shoot us messages. Tell us if you guys want to be on. If you guys have a suggestion of someone that we should have on, let us know. If you have an idea of something you want us to talk about, even if it's just us talking about that for the whole show, a topic, we'd be more than happy to do that too. So send us messages. Give us your feedback.
Heck yeah, brother. That's awesome.
All right, man. It's been a good it's been a good time.
It has. This is fantastic. Yeah. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.
You too, man.
Yeah, brother. This is awesome. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Night, brother.